Hey there. What's up? Welcome to Tiny Life Takeover with your host, Denis Daigle, and my dad. So today, what I'll be showing you is the process that we went through for the electrical. We had a small wall that we put up, privacy wall, and also a power closet, we'll call it. But I'm going to walk you through kind of all of the steps that are needed for this tiny house to put the electrical in. Also the decision on, how am I going to be off grid, if I'm going on grid and all of that. So it's going to be a good one. Thanks for watching, and let's get to this. Come on. So as far as electrical, bringing the power in, so you see behind me is that post. So we're getting just a line put through, 30 amp coming into the tiny house. Look, Mom, I got my PhD. Hole digger. I wanted to go off grid. So how do you do that? Do you go off grid immediately? Do you go after the fact? And here's what my rationale is. If I hook up as per normal and just kind of put everything that I feel that I would want and then just kind of feel it out, just try to reduce as much as possible all of the electricity that I would use. So any fans that I buy, heaters that I buy, all that, just as low as possible. I'm just going to try using the tiny house with that power, and then I can measure and say, okay, here's the amount of power that I need in this tiny house to be comfortable and live a full life in here. And then from there say, okay, to sustain that, then I'm going to need 6 batteries and 6 panels, whatever it is. But at least from there, I'm starting off from, a life of relative comfort, but kind of everything that I would like and enjoy. Versus starting with, say, 1 battery, which runs the water pump. So it's a way for me to just think about it where it's okay, because going solar, going, off-grid is going to cost a lot of money. I'd rather invest that into just the comforts, creature comforts here in the tiny house, and then just try living life as frugal with power and water as possible, and then knowing exactly what I would need to then translate that into off-grid. So off-grid is the plan, but I'll be on-grid just so I can figure out how much power I need. Still going to do propane as much as possible, and just aiming for off-grid, but at the beginning as low energy as I can use and get away with. So as we're thinking about the electrical, I have to admit it was a little overwhelming just to think about, how do you even start? So one thing that my dad had me think about, as you can see, is just to put the boxes kind of everywhere. So we took some time to talk about it, and where would the light switches be, where would the plugs be, all that stuff. And it was really nice to be able to kind of visualize and talk it through. The fridge is going to go here, even though it's propane. In the future, we might want to plug it, but also, where I want to have a projector that projects against the wall. So it was nice to just, without spending tons of money, just the boxes to go, okay, here's where it's going to go. So that was one good way to just kind of get the ball rolling on that without being overwhelmed with kind of everything that needs to be done from an electrical point of view. All right, so for the electrical, we have an electrician that's helping us to do all the technical work. So for us, it's really running all of these wires. I can see it there. So just running all these wires through the studs and everything else. So just finding the best place for all of the plugs, which is pretty typical. So this will be won't be a big section on electrical because we're getting ahead with that. But we all need to drill the holes and run the wires. So it'll be quite a while, but here we go for electricity. Well, it's official. We've got our power. First plug in the tiny house. So one thing that I just want to document so I remember and can help other people out. So my dad has been doing this for a long time. So I asked him why he was kind of putting this plate up here. But what it does is that when you're going to be putting some boards up, it gives you something to tie those boards to. A little bit of foresight goes a long way. All right, so we are cutting into the subfloor, and something my dad just pointed out. So the cut here, I don't know how well you can see it. You can see how it kind of shredded this a little bit. And my dad said one thing you can do is just with an X-Acto knife, just cut ahead of time, and then it'll prevent this sharding from happening. All right. Always learning. This takes a lot longer than I thought, but you got to think about it, where the switches go, where the plugs go. It's kind of cool though, because you have to imagine yourself in it, actually using it. So one thing that I wanted to mention is a learning that I've had. So the wood stove, you would think, as everybody says, you could warm this place up with a candle. But clearly, that's not the case, and I found that out. For the design of this tiny house, I plan to put a loft bed above. That's why I chose originally to not put the pipe inside. Because I chose to put the pipe outside, it really cuts down on the amount of heat that this throws. So because of that, it took, an hour, last time I tried it, to warm this whole place up in kind of the dead of winter. So what I did is I ordered some ceramic heaters, the most efficient that I could find, so low wattage, and that way I'll be able to keep the kind of ambient temperature of the room at around 15 degrees, say, and use this as a true luxury item. So learning that if you have a wood stove, you put it inside of a building, if you don't want it to be too warm, put the pipe outside directly, but if you need that heat, then keep the pipe inside. And another thing that I found really helpful to do is, as soon as you can, mark on your wires where they're coming from, what they're powering, because as you look at the spaghetti, it's really tough to remember where everything goes. It's going to pay off, trust me, big time saver. All right, so I've been asked by one of you in the comments about this privacy wall, so I'm just gonna add a few more details to it. So basically the construction is 2x3s. Because it's not very wide, we could just make one single panel, one on each side. As you can see, just construction adhesive between the two, sandwiched so that it's a double post. And then on top, the top plate. Actually, I've been doing some chin-ups on this. So since it's the only wall, it's just 2x3, really simple way to put it together. And something that I can add here is a mistake that I had made. So basically, when we made these, I had made them a bit too tall, and kind of going through this doorway, I saw that there was an extra like 6-inch, so this header piece was actually up higher, and it just, I don't know, it didn't feel right. So again, something I had made and put in place, and it didn't feel right. So my dad and I went back and forth. He was like, no, it's there, it's good, it's fine. But you know when it's built and you feel it, you're like, nah, this just doesn't work. Take the time and fix it, because once it's all tied in, it's not too late, but it's kind of too late. So part of this whole project is being okay with just going ahead and building it and then feeling it out and then being able to modify it. As my dad says, anything is fixable if it's made out of wood. So David, thank you for your question. Looking forward to seeing the progress on your tiny house. And yeah, if there's any other questions that you or anybody else has and you want a bit more details, let me know. I'd love to share it with you. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Well, all right, that's it. I hope that you found it pretty interesting. As you can see, I'm getting all filled up full of stuff. Look at this and this. So with ordering stuff takes time, especially during COVID period. So it's been a challenge all around, but it's coming together. And as always, really appreciate you watching, following, commenting, being part of the story alongside my dad and I. So love having you along. Until the next time, God bless. Take care.